Hi there and welcome back to another episode of jPlay. I'm Marcus, and because I enjoyed my last walkthrough video for Kingsport Festival, I decided to do another one for Sons of Anarchy here. In Sons of Anarchy, 3 to 4 players represent the leaders for various MCs and other gangs throughout California and want to gain the most money in order to win the game. So, money in this game is both a source of income in order to buy other cool stuff and also represents the actual victory points for each player. As there is no visible victory point track, money is kept secrets from the other players behind the player screen. There are only very few occasions where another player is allowed to have a peek behind your screen, but really keep your information hidden. The base game comes with 4 clubs or gangs, and I believe if you pre-ordered you get a 5th club, the Grim Bastards. But I only have the club card and no dedicated miniatures, dice or such. I believe this will be a promo or an upcoming expansion. I don't really know. Let's see what Essen 2014 brings. The miniatures themselves are pretty cool and functional. But of course there were some complaints saying that the Niners are not really an MC, and I also would have preferred if those would come with SUVs, for example, instead of those bikes, but in respect to the game mechanic I think it really doesn't matter. All clubs or gangs come with 2-sided clubhouse card, one for beginners with no special abilities and one for the normal mode of play, which is basically the only real way to go. Of course, those special abilities or gang rules or clubhouse order, whatever they are called, might seem pretty unbalanced at times. For example, if you lead Sam Crow and there is no place in Charming where you can sell weapons, as the game board will be set up randomly. The same goes for the possible opportunity card, so basically no proper location card might show up the first rounds and you start piling up weapons behind your screens. But in the end, Sons of Anarchy is a cool thematic Ameritrash game, so who cares about balancing? But enough of the preamble, let's dive into some actual rounds and start with a setup which is really fast. Charming mainly consists of 9 different locations, plus the hospital and the emergency room. The standard game starts with those 3 locations revealed in the top row of Charming, and 6 stay hidden and will be revealed in the course of the game. I believe in total there are around 20 different sites available, so we'll have a lot of replayability here. The top row always consists of Charming Police Department, Cut and Back Up and the Gun Factory. We will now create the Anarchy deck for this round, but therefore it's necessary to explain the 4 different types of cards. First of all, opportunities. Those will be additional sites for the current game round only and can be contested or controlled by your dudes. But again, they will be discarded at the end of any given game round. This is an obstacle. It will affect all players and the effect will be triggered immediately after it is revealed. So you can basically discard the obstacle directly after its effect has taken place. Hassles change the rules of the game for the current game round and will also be discarded at the end of the round. And last but not least, there are the last calls. Those are being dealt with at the very end of the round, so you have some time to prepare for those. In order to set up the game, you give the Anarchy cards a good shuffle and draw 15 cards, which I already did here. Those cards will have the above described game effects, but also serve as the timer for the game. So, when you reveal the last 3 cards at the start of a game round, it means this will be the very last one. For longer games, you can just add 3 more cards for each round you want to extend the game, by the way. You can freely decide if you want to include the Hardcore Anarchy cards into the deck, and especially this one seems to be quite odd, which we didn't enjoy very much when we revealed it the very first time we played. For now, I think I will leave them out. Now each player rolls a die and the player with the highest result is allowed to choose his gang first. For this walkthrough video I will demo a 3-player game, so I have chosen those 3 clubs. Now it would be time to choose your game mode. Playing with the unleaded or the high octane side. And again, I would strongly suggest to go with the high octane mode. The last player to choose will get this Reaper patch and will later start the game. The holder of the Reaper patch also has some benefits when it comes to breaking ties. You take your starting assets which are printed on your clubhouse and also put your starting heat tokens on your clubhouse as well. Heat shows your exposure towards the feds. Usually it's the lower the better. Remember to place your hidden assets such as money, weapons and contraband behind your player screen. Simply place your dudes on your clubhouse. Your dudes, order tokens and your heat is normally public information, but there's also an option to play with hidden order tokens. But personally, I really prefer to play with open information here. But now we are ready to start the game. First thing to happen, all players will claim their order tokens. In the very first round, this will be 5 for each player, and it's always the number of base orders printed on your clubhouse plus your active members, so the guys on the motorbikes. By the way, this is a prospect and this is a member. Both types are called dudes. The distinction is important as some cards or sites refer to either type. It's also important to mention that only members are able to start a throwdown, so basically fight a rival gang. But more to that a little bit later. After we have all claimed our order tokens, it's time to reveal new cards. First of all, we will flip 2 new sites in Charming, if there are any hidden left. So let's do that now. So here we have the Backwoods Pharmacy, and here we have the Irish Freddy's Tattoos. Then we come to the escalation step and we'll reveal our very first Anarchy card. In the second round we will reveal 2 Anarchy cards, and as of round 3 we will always reveal 3 Anarchy cards. This means the standard game consists of 6 rounds. So let's do that. Let's see what we have here. In this case we have our very first opportunity cards. As mentioned, those opportunity cards are being treated like a normal side throughout in Charming, but will be removed after this game round. So basically you can send your members here, you can take control and then you can exploit it. But I will explain that to you in a second. And now it's time to issue some orders. The player with the Reaper patch will always go first and will be allowed to spend his first order token. So I decided that Sam Crow will go first here. In clockwise order, the players will then be able to issue an order as well. This goes around and round until all order tokens are spent. With an order token you can move your dudes from one location to another location. You can exploit a location you control. You can start a throwdown at a contested site where you have at least 1 member. You can recruit a new prospect or patch in a new member. Or you can sit tight and pass. You still have to spend an order token to pass, but sometimes it's really better to wait and see. So there will be no order tokens left at the end of the current action phase. I think as Sam Crow's gang rule is that they're allowed to take an extra cash each time they're selling 1 or more guns, they really want to do that now. So I think in this case they will spend their very first order tokens and then move all their dudes, which they have, so basically 2 members and 3 prospects here, to this gun running here. This is already the turn or the very first order token for Sam Crow. Now we come to the Niners. The Niners will spend their first order token to move to the Charming Police Department with 1 member and 1 prospect basically, and that's because for once they can drop their heat there and they would be allowed to claim the patch. And as I explained, the patch makes you the first player in each round and you're also able to break some ties. The Mayans need some weapons, that's for sure. So I think we will issue an order for the club here, so the club order, which says they can swap 1 contraband for 1 weapon. So they will take 1 of their contraband from their screen and will exchange this with a gun, and again they will place their gun behind their screen. Back to Sam Crow, and now they're controlling this site here, or this opportunity, because they're the only gang present here, and now they will use an order token to exploit this location here. Normally you would not let them get away with that because that's their special ability, but I don't want to start a throwdown in the very first round here. Okay, what does this card allows you to do? Sam Crow is now allowed to sell 2 weapons for 6 $8 each, and because of their special gang rule, they take 1 extra cash, so they gain $7 instead of only 6. So I think that's definitely a very good idea. So they take 2 guns from behind their screen, and therefore they gain 2, 5, 6, and 1 more, 7 additional dollars. And right now these are 7 additional victory points as well. You also have to note that this side is now exploited, so no one else can exploit this side again. And as I already mentioned, after this round, this card will be removed from the game. Before anyone will move to the police department, the Niners will definitely exploit this location here as well. So there is this little anarchy symbol. There you place your order token, and then you are allowed to use the special activation. And this time it's a double activation, so for once they would be allowed to drop their heat by 1, and they will also be able to claim the patch. Awesome. For 1, the heat goes down, and second, they grab the patch from the Sam Crow. The Mayans want some more weapons, so they will issue a move order, and they will move 2 members and 2 prospects from their clubhouse. Remember, that's only allowed from 1 single location, and the clubhouse is 1 location. And then that's basically their order movement for their turn. So we come back to Sam Crow. I think Sam Crow want to patch in a new member. So they will issue 1 order here. It doesn't matter where they do it. They have to pay $1. And 1 gun from behind their screen, basically the last gun. Then they will move this prospect back to the common reserve, and they will gain an additional member for this order. So it's definitely cost you something, but it's definitely worth it, as each member will give you an additional order token by the end of a round, or at the start of the next round. The Niners will move to the backwoods pharmacy here because they're really after this contraband because of their special ability. So they will move their remaining dudes from the clubhouse to the backwoods pharmacy for now. And I guess this will be a very peaceful first round. So the Mayans will exploit the gun factory. So they will place their order token here. And the order token allows them to spend $2 for 2 guns, or basically $1 for 1 gun, and they're allowed to do that twice when they do the exploit action here. So here are their $2, here are the 2 guns, and of course we will put the guns back behind their player screen. As Sam Crow doesn't start the game with any contraband, I think they will move their dudes from the gun running opportunity card to this tattoo studio here. And basically they would be allowed to use that twice, but I come to that when we will exploit the location. The Niners spend the order token also to do a patch in action, so they will also pay $1. They will have to give away a gun, and then we exchange this prospect with a member here. And as the Mayans have now more than enough weapons, I guess, they will do the same. So they will spend an order token to do a patch in. They will spend a gun and $1, and then we will exchange this prospect with another member. With their last order token, Sam Crow will activate or exploit Irish Freddy's tattoos. So they will now be able to spend up to $3 for 1 contraband each, and they could theoretically use this boost ability of this side. Unfortunately, they don't have additional order tokens, so in this case they could just promote 1 prospect here to a member, and I think this was a stupid idea. I think I should have moved somewhere else down there, but yeah, that's what happens when you play all 3 factions alone. So normally this would be bullshit. It would move there, and then you would have a contested side, I guess. But for now we will skip this one here. So we will just spend our $3. So they will definitely take 3 contraband. Contraband can bring you quite a lot. And so this is the 3 contraband they're allowed to grab from Freddy's tattoos. The Niners will exploit Backwoods Pharmacy here in order to skim a contraband. We'll also put that behind their player screen. And I guess the Mayans will just use their last order token in order to recruit a new prospect. That's basically the end of the very first action round. This card was missing in many of the boxes of the first wave of production, but you can either request it from Gameforce 9 or you can print it out yourself. You can find it on their website or on BGG, by the way. So, now we start the black market step. Every player can try to sell a certain amount of contraband from his reserve. The maximum amount each player is allowed to sell is tied to his or her heat. The more heat you have, the less contraband you are able to sell. So, your heat is a great way for the other players to see how much contraband you are allowed to sell at maximum. So in this case, all of the players are at their limits or at their starting heat, beside the 1/9ers of course, so they are allowed to sell up to 3 contraband. Each player now takes a legal number of contraband in his hand and all reveal their hands at the same time. The total number of contraband of all the players determines the current price for this round, which you can check on the black market card here, by the way. So for example, if all the players have in total 4 to 6 contraband, each contraband is worth $2 each, and then you have to sell. So you cannot step back and say, no, that's too cheap for me, I will resign my offer now. And here already starts some more metagaming. So for example, the Mayans could deal with Sam Crow to say, come on, I don't want to sell contraband in this round, you go first, you can sell up to 2, and the 9ers also jump in with 2. So you can really do a big deal bargain here in this game. Of course, those agreements are not binding, so you can do whatever you want to do. Let's say the players have more or less agreed upon the amount of contraband they are about to sell. So these are the contraband for Sam Crow, those for the 9ers, and this for the Mayans. And so we see we have now exactly 6 contraband. So each contraband is worth $2 now. So all the players, so for example, Sam Crow now takes 4, 6, and $2. And by the way, the gang rule for the 9ers are that the trafficking limits are increased as indicated on the heat tracker. So they start with 4. So if they have 1 heat, they would be still allowed to sell up to 4 contraband, whereas all the other players can only sell 3 with 1 heat. Now we check for any possible last calls. Right now we only have this Anarchy card here, which is an opportunity. So there is no last call in this round. And after a possible last call, it's time to clean up the gaming area by discarding any Anarchy cards like this one, removing all order tokens to the common reserve, and rolling for injured dudes in the emergency room. Right now we don't have any. Then we are able to start our next round. And again we start our new round with the first phase, and this would mean to claim new order tokens. Sam Crow has base orders of 3. They have now also 3 members, which means they start this game round with 6 order tokens now. The same goes for the 9ers, and it's pretty similar for the Mayans, but they only have 2 base orders, but they have 4 members. So they also start the next round with 6 order tokens. Then we reveal 2 new sites. So for once we have the I-5 corridor, and here we have the Norton military surplus. Okay, this is pretty cool as it gives you some opportunity to sell weapons, which is good for Sam Crow, but also to buy some weapons, and I think the 9ers are a little bit short of weapons. This round we will reveal 2 Anarchy cards. So again we have an opportunity, and here we have an hassle. And the hassle is pretty nasty for the 1/9ers, as it says we skip the black market step in this game round. In this round the 1/9ers will go first because they are holding the patch, because the last turn they exploited the charming police department. So I think they will spend their first order token to move some of the dudes, I think here from the Backwood Pharmacy to this Norton military surplus, as they really need some weapons. I think we will move the Mayans down there, but I think we will only move the members for now, as only members to count on this side, but that's basically it for them. Originally I thought of moving Sam Crow down here to the military supplies here, but now as the Mayans left the gun factory more or less unprotected, I think they will move their crew up there. So they will spend their first order token to move those guys. Let's move them all here to the gun factory. The one-liners are really surprised that they are uncontested here down there, so they will immediately exploit this site here, which means they spend $3, and for each dollar they spend, they can claim a gun here. The Mayans, I think they will exploit this site here, and this means they can skim $1 per member on site, which means they get $3. They are now also able to activate the special bonus activity here, and I think this is what they will do. And the special activation or the bonus says move all dudes here to another location. And guess what? They have a nice trip here to the gun factory. And before it's really getting hot up there, I think they will use their club order now. So they would be allowed to spend $1 in order to grab a gun. I think this is something they might need when it comes to a throwdown with the Mayans. The Niners are still pretty happy, to be honest. So I think they will issue a move order, and they will move the 2 dudes from the charming police department here to the gun running opportunity card. And I guess the Mayans will start their very first throwdown by issuing an order there. Okay, let's see how an actual throwdown looks like. First of all, you have to spend an order token, which we already did, at the contested side where you have at least 1 member. Check. First step of a throwdown is the call for backup. Starting in patch order, each player can now spend order tokens to move troops from one location to this location. 1 order token always allows you to move any number of dudes from one single location, including your clubhouse, of course. But as mentioned, you can spend additional orders for additional source locations. So I guess Mayans will go first, the second after the patch order. 1-9ers are not involved in this fight, so the Mayans will spend 1 order token in order to call for backup from their clubhouse, and I think, they will move in 1 more member and 1 additional prospect. Next, Sam Crow could do the same, but all of their dudes are already here on the game board, so they cannot call for any backup. It's also important to mention that you can only call for backup when it's your turn, so when you're done, you're done. There's no way to get additional backup after you have seen how many other dudes your opponent will bring to the fight. So, in this case, holding the Reaper patch is definitely not exactly an advantage. Then it's time to pull your guns. All involved players are allowed to take any numbers of guns from behind their screen and put them into their hands. Those guns will be revealed simultaneously, so very much like the contraband and black market mechanism. Note that there are sites in Charming where you're not allowed to use guns, such as the Charming Police Department or the St. Thomas Hospital. Also note that each involved party that brought a gun to a throwdown will gain 1 heat after the fight, independent if there was any injured dudes or whatsoever. And it also doesn't really matter how many guns you have brought to the fight. You always get only 1 heat token. So again, in this example, Sam Crow used their last remaining gun, and the Mayans also brought 2 guns to the fight. After we have polished our guns and removed our rings, we get bloody. Each involved party rolls his die and adds all the appropriate modifier to this die roll. You get 1 point for each prospect present, you gain 2 points for each member present, and you even get 3 points for each gun. So let's do that now. So let's roll the 2 dice. Green is for the Mayans, black is for Sam Crow. In this case it's pretty clear that the Mayans have won the fight, as they have brought definitely more members here, so they have 2 points more from that, and they also brought 1 more gun to that, so they definitely have won this throwdown. No need to count here. For each gun you brought, you can now send 1 dude of an opposing player to the emergency room. But unfortunately the target player gets to choose who to send. So first of all, your prospects will go to the ER, as the members might provide you additional order tokens at the start of the next round. So Sam Crow brought 1 gun, so the Mayans will send this prospect to the emergency room, and the Mayans brought 2 guns, so these 2 fellas will be sent to the ER. The weapons you have used in this throwdown are discarded, of course, so really use them wisely. The player who won the throwdown, so the Mayans in this case, and still have dudes left, is now controlling the site. All other dudes who survived the throwdown of the opposing faction will be sent to their corresponding clubhouse. So these 3 members will be sent back to the Sam Crow clubhouse. If the winning player was the initiator of the throwdown, he is now allowed to immediately spend an additional order token to exploit the site immediately. Of course, the site must not have been exploited before. So in this case, the Mayans have initiated this throwdown, and I think, what the heck, let's spend their last order token in order to buy 2 more guns. So they spend $2 and therefore they get 2 guns. And if you now think, was it really wise to do that? Whatever, moving down to the I-5 corridor, get the money, then move everything up there again, lose your guns, use your prospect, and basically being left with no order tokens. I guess you're right, it doesn't make any sense. I only want to show you some of the core mechanics here. I think Sam Crow wants to spend an order token in order to recruit a new prospect. We might get both prospects in the emergency room back, but there is a good chance that they both are going to die. The one-liners are still pretty happy, so they will activate the gun running site here. They will sell 2 weapons, and therefore they are allowed to grab 4 and $6. I think for them it was a very, very cool turn. The Mayans are out of order tokens, so Sam Crow will issue another club order and will spend $1 in order to grab another gun. Niners will also spend an order in order to recruit another prospect. Sam Crow doesn't want to stay last in the food chain, so I think they will move a prospect and a member to the charming police department. And the Niners will spend their last order token in order to patch in this guy here, so they will spend a weapon, $1, and then they have an additional member. Sam Crow will spend their last order token in order to exploit the charming police department, so their heat drops by 1 and they reclaim the patch token from the Niners. And those were basically all the actions in this second turn. We would now skip to the black market, but because of this customs crackdown here, we have to skip it, which is really a pity for the Niners, but they had a pretty good turn anyhow. As we also don't have any last call cards in play, we can skip to the cleanup phase, and at the very end of the turn you will roll a die for each of your dudes in the ER to see if he dies. If not, he's sent back to the clubhouse. So or so, the ER will be empty at the end of any given game round. So let's roll some die for the Mayan dude here. So on a roll of 1, 2, 3, the dude dies. Let's see, that's a 2. Unfortunately, this guy is down. Then we will move for the first prospect here of Samgro. This guy also died. Really sorry for him. Roll for the second dude. This is also one. All guys died at the charming emergency room. Not really very good round for Sam Crow and the Mayans. I think I will end my little walkthrough video here. I really hope I made it everything pretty clear, so at least the core mechanics. Of course, I was not able to show you all the sides that come with Sons of Anarchy and also not all of the cards, but let me assure you there are really a lot of them. Some final thoughts on Sons of Anarchy. I'm really a big fan of the show and couldn't wait to hold this game in my hands. And I really have to say that I don't regret this buy. The game comes with so cool components, so thick and sturdy cardboard tokens, and especially the sides printed on those beer coasters bring a lot of flavor to the game. As mentioned, I would have preferred more thematic miniatures, at least for the Niners, but the game comes with those cool dice that show the patches of the gang, so this is really a very, very good quality production here. Personally, I also enjoy the photos from actual scenes from the show, but I also like this in Firefly and Spartacus. Again, great job Gale Force 9, and I'm aware that not everyone shares the same opinion. Some would more prefer actual artwork than just taking scenes out of the show, but really I think that's pretty great. The game offers a lot of player interaction if you're willing to play it that way. So you buy some new friends for this round, even though no pacts are binding in this game. Perfect metagaming, which I enjoy, a big deal in a game. Sometimes the sides and opportunities are a bit too random and can really void your club's special ability, but I think this is really something which normally balances out throughout the game. So what I said at the beginning, I think the special abilities are not really unbalanced. Personally, I have the feeling that even Sam Crow is pretty powerful, but this really depends on the Anarchy cards that show up and such. Hopefully you enjoyed my little walkthrough here and hope to see you soon in one of my next videos, and until then, bye bye!